Hello, it is I, Ramses the 800th, and we're back with Manga Roundup. Today's actually going to be a shorter relative video compared to my previous ones. This is basically bi-weekly at this point, but I'm not going to put weekly in anything because I can never apparently keep my promises. But we're going to have, again, a relatively short, like, little section. We only have 6 chapters because ruridragon and Kaiju number 8 are on break. I think. Yeah, they were on break. So we're only going to be covering 2 chapters of Ichi the Witch, 2 chapters of Chainsaw Man, and 2 chapters of Kagurabachi. So I think we should just jump right into it with chapter 10 of Ichi the Witch. This is continuing after the fight after Ichi jumps out of Hisame and after dicing her into pieces. And we're getting a little bit of backstory to that, where he apparently met a man in the forest, like it says a giant man popped out of the fish. So we now know where he learned that technique. He also shows him how to like chop and the correct ways of using the tools. And this gives us insight on Ichi a little bit when he was younger, because truth is, it doesn't really make sense that he was able to survive so long. Granted, we found out we know he has the will to live, but now that we know that he at least met somebody there to teach him some skills, it makes a little bit more sense. And yeah, we get that little flashback. That's where he learned how to do the filleting thing, and he just keeps doing it. He just keeps slicing and dicing. And so basically what he did was he turned her into sushi. He turned her into a sushi boat specifically. Psychotic. This man is a monster. Who let him out? Who let him do this? It doesn't make sense that he's able to do this, right? And then he's soaked in blood, and he's like, "We did it. We're done," you know? And then Hisame, I thought this would kill her. I thought, oh, she's just dead. They're gonna eat her. But no. So apparently Hisame thinks it's great. She says, "Oh, this is beautiful. This is the best ever. I love this." And she acknowledges Ichi and gives him the stone, which is weird. Okay, so my question with all this is, how come he was just able to kill the other one, the fox-looking one? How come he was just able to kill that one? We didn't know if it had a trial. We didn't know if he was able to like really do anything with it, but you know, he chopped it. He took the thing out and then made this one. Maybe there's like a measure of thing. Maybe if Majiki is strong enough, they can't really die in the conventional means. Maybe something like that. I don't know. But yeah, they finished the task, and they're saying like, oh, things like Ichi can only do like. Let me go back to a page, right? And it's basically like him chopping out from the inside was like a ridiculous thing, and it's because the way he is, there are things only he can do. He's the only person that would think, let's jump inside of a shark, a giant shark, chop it from the inside out, and turn it into sushi. He's the only person that can think that. And in the previous things, like, oh, like what? It's mostly stupid things, but you know. And apparently those people weren't dead. They were still alive, and they were kind of just frozen. But you know, being frozen isn't fun. So all of their family members are alive. You know, that's what Duressa, fucking A. She did like a defrosting spell to like free them, you know, usual stuff. Yeah, they should probably still see a doctor anyway. And then we're finally seeing Uroro. I think it's Uroro again. He's like, damn, they're still alive, you know? And then everyone's basically like, look, he's a witch, he's a guy, he's really cool. And she's like, oh yeah, thank you for rescuing us. And they're all like, oh yeah, that's cool. He got the thing, so he has to be a witch. And they still have like a little like, oh, like, what is this, a ball? I don't know. They have like a little thank you thing, right? Which is really nice. That was the end of chapter 10. And then we get to chapter 11, which is with this beautiful art. This is beautifully done. Beautiful, beautiful. And it's called 11th Hunt. I like how it's called hunts instead of chapters. But the 11th Hunt, Witches Conference. Now, this is I would say lore-heavy chapter, but this is more of like a understanding of the system that they're in, you know? We get the Moni Gold. We get more Moni. We get this lady. We get this lady holding the meeting, and everyone's basically talking about Ichi. They're saying like, "Oh, he managed to, uh, he managed to beat Hisame. Yeah, he got a bunch of people's approval, and this like town is pretty cool. He didn't have to use Ororo. He acquired the Majiki really fast, and I think it was in the previous page. Yeah. Um, he said for some trials, it takes a year, even two, and many records have taken a decade. He's acquired 2 in 2 weeks, right? No, he acquired 3 in 2 weeks. To summarize, he's fast, right? They're saying he's doing this at such an incredible rate. That's impressive, right? And he didn't have to use Ororo for either of those, you know? He just has him kind of as like a back pocket thing. He hasn't used him once. Ororo isn't really doing anything. And his hunting as a background makes it easy to hunt Majikis. He does it in an interesting way. But more importantly, and this is the thing where they're saying like this town, this village that found that it was a male witch were perfectly okay with him. They didn't really quite care. They're like, oh yeah, he's a cool guy. He helped us. That's sick, right? And they're saying like we shouldn't be hiding him, right? Because obviously they have to keep his existence hidden because it's gonna be weird. But this lady is saying like, oh, we should let everyone know that there's a male witch running around because we got people's approval, we got all this stuff, and you know, they're saying like, all right, we can if we get approval, we can pass it forward. Uh, yeah, as an organization, and they're basically saying like hey, how would you feel to be like the organization that was able to have the first male witch and like he's like a crazy strong person? Isn't that going to be sick? And everyone was like, oh, that's a cool idea. That's a cool idea. Until one person says basically no, right? She comes out. The Silver Witch, what is that? Chikutoga? Togais? Togais. Her last name is Togais. Or her first name. I don't know. Togais. Oh, yeah. Togais comes out of the thing and tries to like say, like, oh, she's saying no. I don't approve. Gag. She's in the wrong area. She's not looking the right way. And she brings up some good points. It's like, yeah, we're jumping to a conclusion that an isolated village in the middle of nowhere, like just because they agree with him doesn't mean like a giant city is going to. Just because he did it fast doesn't mean that there might be problems with Ororo, you know? And he's like, he doesn't know anything really. He's just going on instinct. And then we get this little back and forth with what is it? I can't Togais. We're getting a little back and forth with Togais and fucking weird Desiree something. And they're having like this is very we've been friends for a long time but we don't like each other, and they're basically saying like, oh, Ichi is like a person that you can't teach him anything. He's not going to sit down for 5 seconds. He's going to go run off. And Togais is saying like that doesn't matter. He needs the training. And he's like, well, if we put him into the field, we can like he can learn there and then he can learn that. That's the best way he can learn. And Togais is saying like, no, we need to teach him in the we need to teach him professionally. He needs to be in book learning. Then we can take him out, right? Togais feels very like controlling of a person. Obviously, she's trying to make Ichi look like her, but it's not gonna work. We know it's not gonna work. And this lady, I forget her name. Like I always say, terrible with names. Don't expect me to remember names. She's like, oh, let's do a test on the next hunt. You take your team, Ichi takes his team, and if Ichi catches the thing first and wins its trial first, then he obviously proves that he's doing it right. And if you guys catch it first, then he has to go train with them. Let's do that, you know? And yeah, they basically decide on that. And I get vindication. Because 2 weeks ago, aka my last video, I said, we know that Ichi does the whole hunting thing because a lot of Majiki are like heartless monsters that just want to kill people. Or like hurt people at least. And I said, what if there was like a Majiki who wasn't hurting people, but wasn't hurting people on purpose. It's just by his existence or by its existence was causing problems for people. And that's kind of what we're getting in this chapter, and well, at least we're going to get next chapter, because we get this little mushroom Majiki, and he's like, "Oh, boy, the woods have been noisy lately. But it's like running. There's witches running around. They all go straight for the human hater Majiki. Anyway, it's not my problem. Why would it be? I'm not causing anybody any bother." And as he creates a giant mushroom, right? And this is the thing I was talking about. This is the problem, that how would Ichi deal with this? Would he just try to do the trial, or would he just hunt the Majiki because it hasn't killed anybody, you know? And then we get this face off with Togais and Ichi, and we're setting up for the next chapter. We basically got end of one arc, a little interlude. This is the interlude chapter, and then we're getting thrown straight into the next arc, you know? We getting new characters, Togais, these 4 girls, and we're gonna learn a little bit more about stuff. You know, we're gonna figure out this Majiki stuff. We're gonna figure out what he's doing. Very exciting. I'm very interested, because I think it'd be funny if they try to get Ichi into like a book learning thing, and he just can't read. I would not be. I don't know if they said he couldn't read, but if he can't, that'd be very funny. I just imagine them giving him a book of like witchcraft. A, he doesn't know the language, and B, he can't read. So either way, it's not going to help him. But that was Ichi the Witch. Very funny. Can't wait for the next chapter. And now we're going to ChainsawMan. That's right. Okay, this is a little bit of a stuff, but you know, that's right. We're going to ChainsawMan. We have 2 chapters of ChainsawMan, and these chapters, like, this is setting up something big, and I'm very afraid. First off, this chapter was like a huge gut punch, because this confirmed a few things. First off, he's like, why did I remember the thing after I threw up snow? Then he throws up bitterness, right? And he remembers, oh, fuck, what was her name? Rev? No. Reze. He remembers Reze. And the theory that Chainsaw Man was eating the devils in order to help him forget is kind of proven, but also disproven, right? It's like all the people I love disappear from my life. In the end, every single one. He remembers Nayuta. I've been through a buttload of terrible experiences. How do I keep smiling before? And we get Pochita, and Pochita's like, oh wait, yeah, he's literally saying it. Pochita didn't eat those devils to make me forget. He barfed them up to make me remember. He basically got rid of them for a few seconds, and when he threw them up, he was like, remember this, remember this, remember this, you know? And he's like, oh shit, you know? He gets pulled out of the water, and he's just like, you know, I've been through crappy stuff. Naita, my family, they're all dead. Hopes I'll be helpless for the rest of my life. But the sushi I ate earlier tasted delicious. I popped a boner a moment ago. You know, normal Denji stuff. I want, as long as the world has grub and girls, I still have something to live for. This kind of proves that Nayuta's dead. Sucks. You know, that fucking... I don't think she's dead, though. That's the thing. I don't think she's dead. Yes, we saw her head on a platter. Yes, we saw her head on a platter. But we know how resilient these devils are. Granted, we don't know how resilient the 4 horsemen are, because Makima was cut into little pieces. I don't know. And Denji's kind of putting his game face on. He's like, so you said that devil powers don't work here, but we know that's not true. It's like, because I just threw up this giant effing head. You know, that wasn't inside my stomach. It was in Chainsaw Man's stomach. That's in the real world. And she's like, okay, what does that mean? And Denji doesn't elaborate, just says, I came up with a super smart plan. This time I'll get us out of this effed up world, right? It's my turn to get us out of here, right? So that's 183. 183 is, again, another setup chapter. We're getting a lot of setup chapters. And this is Denji kind of coming to a resolution. He's been... The past few chapters have not been good to my man. He's been suffering ever since he turned back into the Black Chainsaw Man. he was going on a bit of a tirade. He was just fucking everybody up, but he wasn't really doing anything. When the aging devil popped up, he didn't fucking do anything. So this is kind of like fucked up. He's tough. He's in pain right now, and he has the resolve. He's like, so long as I'm still here, right? So long as I'm still living, so long as there are still girls and good food, I can keep living. We get a little bit more of that next chapter, which we'll go to right now. 184. And it's Run Denji. And the reason that is because, yeah, he's just running. And Yor is kind of just like, Yor and Asa are kind of figuring out, like, did he just lose his mind? Is he freaking out just like that other guy is? And he's running, and the aging devil comes out, actually. And he says, the reality of the situation ought to have sunk in by now. I'll give you a chance, right? Do as I say and I'll save you. And he's just ignoring him and running past. He says, your hearts should be connected to the Chainsaw Man of the real world. I want you to convince him to eat, blah, blah, blah. He's basically trying to get him to go like, hey, eat me, right? And I'll get you out of here. But when you do that, you're going to kill a bunch of kids, All you need to do is, exactly, all you need to do is sacrifice the lives of children and you'll be saved, right? And he's running. And he's like, you're a devil. Chainsaw Man's a superhero. F y'all. I don't give a fuck, right? And he brings up a thing where he's like, oh, don't you think it's weird that Pochita didn't eat you? Because he isn't willing. I'll tell you why. It's because he's not willing to kill kids to save himself. That's his prerogative. And the aging devil's like, you're optimistic. And he's like, you got a problem? Right? He says, what are you trying to do right now? Right? And he's running, right? And the aging devil's trying to get to him, right? Didn't you just find out a family member died? If you're already back, like bouncing back, you couldn't have loved them that. Like, you didn't really care about them niggas, did you? You didn't like them, did you? And he's like, you don't know anything about me. He says, but you're kind of right. I'll find a family. Like, I'll find another family. I found one before, and then I found another one, and I'll keep finding them. And he kind of starts losing it. And it says, and if they die, I'll find another new family. Tough luck, bad guys. I can't. Again, I can make a perpetual motion machine, right? He's like, if I lose a family, I'll find another one. If that family dies, I'll find another one, right? I want to do something with my heart, then give me a family again. Got it, right? And he's running, still running, and he's like, oh, so the human Chainsaw Man was dumb, right? I didn't know that. And Denji, after running all this way, basically says like, you're the stupid one. My escape plan's already in motion. What could he possibly be doing? I don't know. So he knows that his stomach is connected to the chainsaw devil, right? In the real world. And he knows that when he throws up, he's throwing them up in this world, not in the other world. So maybe he's trying to make him throw up something. Maybe him running here would allow Pochita to move in real life or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. It's confusing because we there might be hints to what he's trying to do, but I don't know them. I don't know how to analyze this stuff that deeply. But we know he's running, and we know that his running is doing something. And he says, my plan's already in motion after he stops running. We don't know how long he was running. He could have been running for a day, a week, a year, maybe. We don't know how long they've been in there, But seeing as how he was acting, it seems to be like max. He was probably, seeing how sweaty he is, he was probably running for like an hour. Who knows? We might find out next chapter. But again, these two chapters were kind of Denji getting out of his funk. He got out of his funk. He's not depressed. He's still probably depressed, but he's not as depressed. It's not debilitating anymore. And he's like, fuck it. I don't need, you killed my family. I'll find another one. You kill that family. I'll keep going. And he brings up the perpetual motion machine again. He's like, this is what I live for. I live to find a family for a reason to protect them. And when they die, I'll find another family to protect, That's my reason for being here. And he says, I'm not the dumb one. You are. F you, trees. And that's kind of the end of this so far. I wish I had like galaxy brain so I can calculate what's going to happen next. So I can figure out like, oh, this is what he's going to try to do. He's going to try to. I think he might be moving. He might be either trying to make Pochita throw up again, because we get the shot of his stomach, right? His stomach, his face, and then his plan. So to me, this reads as his stomach's like he feels something in his stomach, and he's like, oh, my plan's already in motion. I already feel like throwing up. Or this could be him doing something else. Like he could be moving Pochita somewhere. He could be doing something. I really don't know. But yeah, that was Chainsaw Man chapters 183 and 184. Now for the crazy Kagurabachi. So Jesus Christ, these two chapters. Oh my God. Okay, let's just go. Chapter 57 and 58. We're starting with 57, obviously. We're basically picking up where we left off. Samura is chopping people up. They're all reconciling. They're all like, oh, the one Hisa guy is like, oh, we're good. Like I don't want to be here. F out of here. And he sees another dead body, and it's called Collapse. And then he says, unfortunately, this is just the start. Hindsight is 2020, but we keep going. So he found, like I said, he found a dead guard. He doesn't like it. He says, oh, unfortunately, this is just the beginning. We cut back to Chihiro and oh my God, I don't know his name. I don't even know why I tried. We come back to Chihiro's fight, right? And he's basically saying like, oh, we'll kill the sword masters, and Yura will eventually wield the Shinchi, right? He's spouting stuff, right? And he asks him, have you heard of school? It's a cozy place where neither of us belong. Where they teach. You know what they teach there? They teach the sword masters and the contractors, the contracted sword bearers, are heroes like like Kunishiki. I can't pronounce that. I don't know why I keep trying to pronounce that. But right, and he's saying like, oh, they're heroes. The sword masters led the other 5 bearers in protecting the people. Blah 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 blah. Right. And he's saying like, you witness the power of like the sword itself. Your dad always talked about it like we can never use them again. Why is that? Like that's not really what a hero does. Like he says, you only have the surface knowledge, right? And Chihiro's thinking about it, and he's like, yeah, like that sword was fucking scary. It was like killing people. And what father was hiding was something much more critical, like crucial. It was much more important. He didn't tell him everything. And he's like, Chihiro's asking like, are you saying like they're not heroes who are supposed to be protected? And the guy's like, at least that's what Shimura thinks. He thinks that they're heroes they don't deserve to be protected. And that's why he made a pact with Yura 3 years ago. Hindsight is 2020. But he could have always been lying. And he's like, if they get their hands on the sword, they'll destroy it. They'll destroy everything. And he quotes, we can't let any of the contracting sword bearers die, right? Yeah, you keep saying that. Things are already in motion. I get why you're all fired up. And then he drops one of the swords. Lands. It's called Kumeyuri, I think. Also, this guy has no hands. Psychotic. And he uses it. Which means that Umuri, I think that's what his fucking name is, Umuri is dead. And we start seeing these bubbles around Chihiro. Which means, Chihiro, I'm bringing you over here. I don't know if you're in trouble or not, but come over. So let me actually go back. So first off, this confirms, like, when this chapter dropped, everyone was like, oh shit, he's dead. When this chapter dropped, I was like, oh shit, he's dead. And since he brought up Samura, everyone was like, did Samura like betray him, or was he just yapping, right? And everyone was like, there's no way. It's like, oh fuck, I knew someone was gonna die. I knew someone was gonna die. I just didn't know it was gonna be. I think his name's Umuri, something like that. I don't know. I'm so bad with names. Um, but Chihiro's like, what the fuck, you know? Um, and I remember everyone was like, oh, it's that Hisakai. I don't know. I'm just calling them Hisakai. It's that Shichi. I think that's what they're called. I'm bad with names. If that sword's released, whatever, their gang. If that evil gang gets their hands on the swords, they can destroy everything. It's gonna be bad. And what the theory was that one guy with the hand tat snuck up behind him and got him. You know, that was the theory. And then we got chapter 58. Then we got chapter 58, and we cut back to 7 minutes earlier. Never a good thing. If you get a scene like this, and it cuts to 7 minutes beforehand, or like a short amount of time beforehand, it's never a good thing. And everyone's basically in their recovery state. He's like, oh, you know, like, yeah, thank you. We never have to meet Samura again. We got fired, you know. And then he's realizing, he's like, everyone's knocked out. Like he passes out for a few seconds and wakes up on the ground. And he's like, what the hell is this? He's like, there's no blood. They're only unconscious. And we're getting this interaction between the two sword bearers, right? And he's like, oh, say we keep recovering all of them. If it was that simple, Ryukuru wouldn't have to lock the enchanted blades away after the war. Makes sense. I haven't held my enchanted blade in 18 years. If I'm to wield this again in Kunishige, Ryoka, I can't pronounce any of these names. Rokuharu's name. He says, I'll have to root out evil and protect the weak. And he's like, right, you're right. It's like, we have to fight the Hishaku. That's what they're called, the Hishaku. Right? Like they killed him. Right? They're evil. It's like, why are you scrapping with me? Kill them first, then you can kill me. And he says, like, there is evil far filthier than the Hisaku, right? That must be punished, even if it takes collaborating with them. So there was probably war crimes. There was a lot of war crimes that happened during that war. They fucking destroyed, I think, the moon. Bad stuff, bad shit. And the rest of the world doesn't know about that. They buried their problems. That's why this motherfucker is 7,000 feet below ground with all these barriers and is still able to control his sword from afar. Keep that in mind. He's still able to wield his sword from afar and activate its power and make it go haywire. And he basically goes like, there are people who are dying for us because they believe that we're heroes. That's not fair. Like that's not fair to them, and that's not fair to us when we know we did bad. We are horrible people, we did awful things, and it's not fair that they die with the idea that we're heroes. And he says all five sword bearers, including me, will die by my hand. And he says, unlike the Hishaku, he says, I can slay the sword bearers and spare their protectors, right? And he's saying, like, if you kill me, he brings up the perfect point. If you kill me, Hisakai will be able to use the sword. Is that what you want? They're the ones who killed the guy. Like, he keeps saying it. They killed him. The guy that you look up to, the guy you're fighting in the name of, they killed him. Kill them, then figure out your problems, right? And he basically, I remember reading this on Reddit, right? He says, well, let's read what he says, right? He says, I'll only let them use it briefly to kill the sword master. After that, I'll kill them all. I won't let them do harm with the enchanted blades. In fact, it's a convenient way to smoke out the blades, right? somebody said, Samura basically said, I can solo the verse. That's what he's saying. He's saying, I can kill the sword masters and I can kill the new people that get them. You know? Which, you want to spare the youth, yet you're going to kill anybody who gets a sword. Like, it doesn't make sense. What he's saying. Okay, let me clarify. In his worldview, he's blind. In his worldview, this makes sense. And if you think about it, for like no amount of time, it makes sense. Kill the sword bearers, get their swords, and if the bad guys get the other swords, I'll just kill them too. They don't have experience. They don't have 18 years of experience with the swords. I can just burst them down. I can kill them. And he says, like, I'm going to root it out from the bottom. Kill the sword bearers, kill the things, right? It kind of makes sense because it's like, well, if I want to kill the sword bearers because I see them as evil and I want them all dead, why would I wait for them to get their swords back when I could just kill them when they don't have the swords? Some rando picks up the sword who doesn't have like the skill. I kill them, I take the sword, and I do whatever I need to for them. You know? So this is kind of fucked up. And, like, it doesn't make like what he's saying doesn't make sense. And he's like, I understand where you're coming from, right? But those people died for me, right? They died in order to keep me safe. I know I probably don't deserve it, but they did it. He's like, I'm not gonna throw my life away because they sacrificed everything for that, you know. And Hikari or Karu is like, he's fucked up. He can't stand up. Misuro will be killed, all because I transported the wrong sword. Basically, since I transported the wrong sword, I wasn't able to he's gonna die because of me. Even more trauma for him, you know. Like, and now they're squaring off. They're gonna fight. And he basically calls over Chihiro, and Uruha dies. He gets sliced down. And he says, like, oh, you're gonna shoulder all this alone? And Samura says, like, yeah, nobody else has to endure this hell. He dies. And Chihiro comes back, seeing his for context. This is the first time he saw his friend, the friend of his father and the friend of his stuff. First time in 5 years, 6 years, and he cut down another sword bearer. He just heard from the other guy that Samura was a traitor, finds out that he's actually a traitor, and has irrefutable evidence of that. That's fucked up, you know. And he said, and Samuro says, you sure are drenched in blood, Chihiro. He can smell him. He can like, I guess, sense him. He can hear him, you know. And that's fucked up. That's pretty fucked up if you ask me. That one guy doesn't have any hands anymore. But oh my god, this is what we needed. This is what we needed, right? We needed this hard twist. Yes, it's pretty early, but there are people far better than me, both on Twitter and on YouTube, that could break this down a lot better. I'm just a fan, appreciate what I'm reading. This was a twist that we really needed, because this, if anything, would put us on like this is already a great series. It's already getting a lot of popularity. Great. This is kind of like, let me think. This is almost like the Domain. The first time we saw a Domain expansion in JJK. You know, this twist is what's gonna like fuck everything up. You know? And I'm so excited. You know, like now that I'm thinking about what is the only possible route the series can take, they can't like Just kill all the sword bearers and then be done with it, and then hide the swords away again. It didn't work. Them killing the sword bear, them taking the swords didn't work. Them killing the sword bearers and taking the swords, it's not going to work. The only thing that can effectively get rid of this problem, which is the enchanted blades and the sword bearers and the abuse of power and this kind of, again, this like this cycle of abusing power, is to destroy the blades. Chihiro already did it. He destroyed a Cloud Gouger. So the only way we can get rid of this problem is to destroy the sacred blades. And Chihiro is already on that path. Because if he destroys the blades, they can't hurt anybody, they can't do anything, and the only enchanted blade left would be his own. And he could probably just break that one too, just use Kuro and snap his own sword. But that's the thing. That's the craziness. This is I'm still at a loss for words. I'm so excited to see what we get next for this series. No. I accidentally procced my phone. But yeah, I'm very excited. Can't wait. The next chapter drops in what? Today's Friday. In a few days. Literally in a few days. And we'll figure out how Chihiro's probably going to lose this fight. He's going to lose this fight. He's not going to win this. Unless we get the GOAT, the teleporting guy, to come in and save him. But, that's it for me today. These were the 6 chapters we covered, the 3 series. So yeah, generic YouTube stuff. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate everything. The Black Clover video did well. It's not live. The Black Clover live did really good. I'm really appreciating that, guys. And yeah, if you have anything you want to say about the chapters, what you guys think is going to happen next for these series, write them in the comments. Do put your theories. I want to hear all of them. I'd really like to hear those. And yeah, I'd like to bid you all a farewell.